This is Mason, and I want to talk to you today about the world, things that we see. Christians, we see things, we understand things, we acknowledge some things. What's going on in this world? Why is it that half the country is contemplating voting for someone that is against your Christian principles in every aspect? And we don't have to go through the litany of ideas and understanding. We know there's a clear choice, but half the nation is screaming for ungodly leaders. And we can say lack of schools, lack of education, lack of money, lack of jobs, but the real problem is that we, Christian people, are not acting like we like and understand and believe in God. We are accepting the worldly ideas so they can like us. We are tolerating things that we know God should not tolerate. We are accepting things in our lives that we know are unacceptable to God. It is our problem, not the world's problem, not the unsaved. Look at Judges chapter 2 through chapter 6, or chapter 4. Look at what we see. The people of Israel go through the promised land, goes to the promised land through the wilderness. They spend 40 years being taken care of by God in every aspect of their lives, following God, being led by God. Their children go through the Jordan and get into the promised land, and they don't remember. They did not experience God's miracles every day. They heard their fathers and grandfathers talk about it, but they did not experience it. And they went to worshiping Baal because he's the entertainers. He is enlightening and he's soothing and he talks about, he is really saying you are God. So they go and worship Baal, and God withdraws his favor, withdraws his grace from thee. And they go into captivity, and they stay in captivity until they remember the words of their fathers and go back to worshiping God. And God sends a judge and a leader and bring them out of captivity. Over and over again, they turn their back on God. God takes his grace away. They go into captivity. They stay in captivity until they remember what they're supposed to be doing to get back to it. Today in America, homosexual marriages is the norm. Christian views are ignored. Our schools are teaching ungodly things. We are allowing ungodly people to rule us. We have turned our back on God, and God has turned his back on us. And until we turn back to God again, we're going to lose our country. We're going to go into captivity. We're going to go into slavery. It is consistent with the word of God. The people, the black folks from Africa, came here worshiping every false god you can think of. We're taking off our knees worshiping false God. We continue to suffer in slavery until we begin to call on the name of the Lord in those fields. And then we had a Christian movement began with the Quaker Church and the Wesleyan Church and Reverend John Brown and Minister Harriet Beecher Stoll. And the abolitionist movement was a Christian movement because the people of God, throughout Bible and throughout history, do not go into captivity while they're worshiping God, and do not come out of captivity until they start worshiping God. You never see the people of God go into captivity praising the Lord. It's time we, America, Christian Americans, start standing up with a backbone, proclaiming the word of God into the darkness, instead of trying to reach out to the darkness and make the darkness our friend. Our job is the light. The darkness does not exist. It is the absence of light. If the light doesn't shine, you have darkness. So this election cycle, stop playing with God. Get back on your knees. We have a few weeks to pray and reclaim our nation. This is a godly Christian nation. If you do not believe it, then you are in darkness. It is time to stop compromising. Jesus Christ did not compromise with you on the cross. Jesus Christ allowed sinful men to manhandle him, to spit on him, to beat him, to curse at him. They allowed sinful men to put him in their grave. He came out just for you. He did not compromise with you in this world, and you cannot compromise with him in this world. You cannot receive what God desires for you until you achieve what God requires of you. This is Mason. Stay right or be left. We're going to freedom.